Today we're making a 2-layer crust. So the outer layer is going to be composed of just flour and fat. And the inner layer is also flour and fat, but with the addition of some sugar and a bit of water to change the texture. Now, I've looked at many recipes, trying to pick the best one. It seems that older recipes tend to use lard, whereas newer recipes tend to use butter. So I've compromised and we're using duck fat. To make the outer crust, we start by putting the duck fat into the flour and just mixing with our fingers. Until it comes together into a dough. I suppose you could use a wooden spoon if you prefer, but where's the fun in that? This is the same crust recipe that you'll find in many other dim sum recipes. According to an article by the South China Morning Post, older versions of egg tarts, so perhaps going back to the 1940s, might have used this crust because chefs would have already been familiar with it. But later, they would have switched to a single layer crust because it's quicker and easier. So I suppose I shouldn't expect these to taste anything like what I remember growing up, but that's okay. Maybe these will be better, who knows? Now on to the next layer. So we'll add our sugar into our flour. Give that a mix, and then add the fat. And I'm wondering if duck fat was not the best choice because this is a lot more soft at fridge cold temperature than, say, butter. Not sure about lard. I've never actually worked with lard, but we'll see how this goes. Maybe I should have listened to the wisdom of the cookbooks that I consulted. But duck fat is just so tasty. When I was growing up, there was a really good dim sum place down the street from my house. So whenever family friends wanted to go for lunch, we would say, no, let's go for dim sum. And egg tarts were an absolute favorite. But then I discovered I was allergic to dairy. So I have not eaten an egg tart in 15 years. And so I am extremely excited to make this dairy-free version and see if it tastes any good. So our fat is thoroughly distributed in there, and we're going to add a bit of cold water to bring it together. Wow, it really smells like duck. Okay, let's transfer this to a floured surface and knead. Oh, this really smells like I'm cooking dinner. The duck smell is so strong. This is really tough and hard to spread without ripping it, so I'm doing this very gently. So we'll roll our outer dough, and then the inner dough is going to go inside it. And then we'll fold it up into an envelope, cut out our shapes, and then put them in the fridge to firm up. Man, this dough is extremely tough. I mean, I've made pie crust before, but this is not what it normally feels like. Although I tend to make a lot of whole grain crusts, which are of course lower in gluten, so maybe that's why I'm not used to this springiness. But man, is it springy. Whew. Getting a real workout here. Part of the appeal of this particular dough is that it's supposed to be extremely soft, and I have to wonder if I already messed it up. I don't know how something this elasticy could turn into a melt in your mouth flaky pastry. Oh, maybe I can do it like pizza dough to help it go a little faster. The struggle, guys, the struggle. Well, this is thin enough to place our inner dough. So we're actually going to take our inner dough put it in the center in a ball, and wrap the whole thing up tightly, and then roll that out. Ooh, that is very crumbly. I guess that could turn into a melt in your mouth kind of pastry. So we pinch it into a ball. That's a ball, right? Okay, a ball that really doesn't want to close. I'm gonna flip that over and roll it out. I have a bad feeling about this. There's like an air pocket. Yep, that's a bubble. Things you don't want in your pie crust. Bubbles. I see why they switched to a one layer. I wonder if I should be doing this like those wall decals. If there's a bubble, you poke it. I'm not gonna poke it. I don't want to make things worse. I feel like I should have been wearing gym wear. This is too intense for a sweater. This dough is also weirdly not sticky. Like, I didn't flour my surface that much, and this just lifts and flips like nothing. So I guess that's nice. I feel like I need to stand and really put my back into this or it's never gonna get there. This is actually a lot harder than I expected. I've made pie. This is nothing like making pie. The instructions just say to get it as thin as possible. I don't know what's possible for them, but I don't think my results are going to meet their standards. I seriously have newfound respect for pastry chefs. It's far from beautiful, but we're gonna go with it. So I have my glass. Let's make some circles. Oh, my glass is not sharp enough. Oh, just so much regret today. Just full of regret. My table was really not prepared, and neither was I. There is no way I'm going to be able to get the rest of the dough together to roll it out again, so I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. So now we place them in the tart containers, and these are definitely too big. Yes. Oh man, so much failure today. It's okay. The main thing is that they taste good, right? Right. I normally put stuff in the fridge to harden up, but I kind of wonder how much of a difference it's gonna make. But just in case, we're going to do it. I think I have to try this again, but using margarine and see if that improves the situation. This isn't even the worst substitution that I'm making in this recipe, so. Okay, these go in the fridge for half an hour. While the dough is resting, it's time to make the filling. So we have 3 eggs, sugar. We're going to dissolve the sugar in a cup of hot water. And then we have to let that come fully to room temperature. While that cools, we can beat our eggs. And this should be half a cup of evaporated milk, but since I don't drink milk and it's really hard to find vegan evaporated milk, this is barista blend soy cream, and hopefully it's close enough. And we'll just let this sit until it's cool. The trick to getting a really fine, silky texture in your egg tarts is to use a strainer. So once everything is mixed together, we're gonna pass it through this strainer, and then it will be ready to pour into our shells. So now that our water is cooled, we're going to mix the egg mixture into the sugar water and then strain it. now it's time to fill the shells from earlier, more carefully than I just did. So ideally yours are more even than this, but we're gonna bake them and see what happens. So now they'll go into an oven preheated to 375 Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. See you then. Are you ready? It's time to take them out of the oven. The first impressions, they look wrong. Let's try one. I kept checking on them and they really didn't want to set. I don't know if it was because I used soy cream or some other reason, but you can see that there's browning in the center, and there definitely is not supposed to be. They also really, really smell like duck. How do they taste? Like duck. That's the theme of tonight. I also overfilled them a little, and so when you overfill tarts, I mean, you don't want to do that because you end up with kind of a sticky mess and usually something burns a bit, but I feel like it's extra bad with egg tarts because this is gonna have a strong scrambled egg vibe more than anything else. So obvious things we learned today. Mistakes I made so that you don't have to. Number 1, duck fat does not equal lard. Number 2, soy cream does not equal evaporated milk. Number 3, making pastry is harder than it seems. Serious respect to the pastry chefs out there. You do a harder job than people realize. Number 4, don't overfill your tarts. Bad things happen. And number 5, just don't use duck fat. Just don't do it. So, do these taste anything like I remember? Not really. Yeah, again, just don't use duck fat. Just don't do it. Save it for your roast potatoes. Would I do it again? Maybe, with margarine. Either way, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm really sorry if I made your ancestors cry. If you did better, send me a picture. If you did worse, also send me a picture. And I'll see you next time.